Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to Tony the Technician channel, and today we're going to be going into my Tekton and Gearwrench ratchets, the 90 tooth versions, and comparing them to my new Kobalt 90 tooth ratchet. Now I bought a $30 little socket set from Lowe's for my new job where I'll be doing miscellaneous work, and I just need sockets for like removing taillights and stuff like that. Nothing big, and I'm going to be mobile, so I don't want to lose a good expensive set of sockets or ratchets or anything like that. So that's why I picked up the Kobalt set. I've used Kobalt before, never had really any issues whatsoever, but we're going to get into the ratchet that came with the set. It is a 92, so that is nice, but we're going to get into what makes it so different from the other 92s available that a lot of people would consider to be in the same price range or same quality range, but you're really going to see some big differences here, and as to why the Tekton and Gearwrench are just another level up from what Kobalt has offered as their standard ratchet with their set. Nothing really wrong with the ratchet. It's just extremely bulky. It's short for its drive size, and even though it's a 90 tooth, you can really tell a difference in the feel of it and the sound of it compared to other quality 90 tooth ratchets. So I'll share the specs with all three ratchets with you. We'll tear them down just so you can kind of see the differences. I'm not going to get my dial caliper out or anything like that, but we're going to look at everything. You're going to be able to see the differences, and then we're going to go over the actual components of the ratchet and everything so you guys can see the difference. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with the ratchet really. It's just not my style. I have the DeWalt 192 piece socket set that I bought like 6 years ago. The sockets have been great. Same thing with Kobalt sockets, never had an issue with those. So it's kind of the same thing when I got the DeWalt set. The ratchets were just, you know, your generic design, extremely bulky, short for the drive sizes, especially like the 1/2-inch drive ones. And they just weren't what I preferred. Also, these are quick release ratchets. My personal preference is a non-quick release ratchet, but I'm not picky when I pick up a whole set of 1/4-inch and 3/8 sockets with a ratchet for 32 bucks. So we're just going to quickly go into the design differences and quality differences, and I really hope you guys enjoy. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Kobalt tools if you've used them, any pros or cons with your experience with them, and I really hope you guys enjoy. Also, all of these will be linked down in the description, and let's get into this. The Kobalt 90 tooth ratchet, the Gearwrench Comfort Grip 90 tooth ratchet, the Tekton 90 tooth ratchet. Now keep in mind this is the extra long flex head version, but it is quick release, same as the Kobalt. And then I have the Gearwrench compact head 90 tooth ratchet. We're not going to do a comparison of this to the Kobalt ratchet, but we will be doing a comparison in the next video of this compact head ratchet to the Gearwrench standard 90 tooth ratchet, just to see the differences in those as well. So stay tuned for that teardown. So today we're going to be tearing down all three of these ratchets and just comparing these two to the Kobalt one. Now getting into the prices and lengths of these, so the Kobalt is going to be a 7-inch ratchet, and it's going to run $25 by itself. I got this in a socket set. I want to say it's like a 100-piece socket set or something like that for $32, so definitely not wise to purchase by itself. The Gearwrench, and that goes for all of these, usually when you get a set, the ratchet is basically free, or if you just get a set of ratchets, it's a lot more affordable than buying this ratchets individual. The Gearwrench with the comfort grip in this length, which is 9 3/8 inches, is $43. You can almost get the entire set for just a little bit more. So once again, don't buy it individually. And then the Tekton, this one specifically is 13 inches long. It is the semi-locking flex head, and it is $38. I love this ratchet. I love both of these ratchets, but the standard length with no flex head is going to be $30, so closer to the $25 price range of the Kobalt. And then the standard length with the flex head would be $32. So the Tekton is a lot closer in price range to the Kobalt, whereas the Gearwrench would be if you bought them in a set, but not quite as affordable. So that is the pricing and length on these ratchets here. So I'm just going to show you a quick close-up look at the Kobalt ratchet. It is very short. It's 3/8 drive, all of these are, and as you can tell, it is just quite bulky. You don't have a lot of length, so you don't get a lot of leverage, and that's usually what you find in those socket sets that you purchase. You don't get ratchets with good length or anything like that, and they're usually this generic design. But Kobalt did step up and created their 90 tooth. Operates fairly decent. You have the 2 set screws here for holding on the backing plate, and then you have a screw here, which is for the actual reverse lever. And then the chrome on it is decent. You can see some defects around the base here, but nothing that would hinder the operation of the ratchet. But I'll give you a listen after I show you just the differences here. So when I hold the gear wrench up to it, you can see the thickness is pretty easy to see. Also, this is a quick release. Like I said, I don't buy really any quick releases. I think this is one of my only quick release ratchets left. And as you can see, it's also quite a bit slimmer. And then the width is roughly the same. It's a little bit thinner in width for the Tekton. And then with the Gearwrench, it's about the same as far as width. So just overall, the Kobalt ratchet, it's just best to buy them in sets. They're just your generic. I wouldn't go after Kobalt ratchets individually unless they have a step up from here, but really I haven't looked at the Kobalt ratchets, just what's included in the sets. So here's the Tekton 90 tooth. Sounds very fine, nice tight tolerances. Same thing with the Gearwrench. Nice and solid clicks. Sounds like tight tolerances. And then here's the Kobalt. To me, it feels, it doesn't have very much back drag at all, which is nice. But I also think that's due to not quite as tight of tolerances in here. It also sounds a little tinny, like a tin can almost, when you ratchet it. I just feel like there's a lot more moving inside of the ratchet. So we're gonna go ahead and get these tore down. The Tekton and the Kobalt are both going to use a T8 Torx bit. And then as far as the Gearwrench, use snap ring pliers. Okay, so I can already tell you from right off the bat that I do not like the way the Kobalt ratchet is set up. Now that is not saying that I'm not going to enjoy the operation or use of the ratchet. Just the setup of it is just way too many parts for what it is. So it is a dual pawl, but then each pawl has a spring behind it, which I did actually launch one and had to spend about 5 minutes looking for it. So you have the 2 set screws that come in from the face of the ratchet, and then you have the one that goes through the backing plate and into the head, and that holds the reverse lever. Besides all of that, to get the backing plate off, just the way this is all set up, this falls out, so you got to make sure to have your hand back there. You got springs just sitting behind these pawls between the wall here and the actual pawl, and that's what keeps pressure on the main gear. And that is why it sounds tinny, because you just have this cone spring that is applying pressure to that pawl into the gear. So looking at the gear, you can see here it does have the flat washer here to keep from binding up against that backing plate. And then on the back side, there's no seal or anything like that. So it is wide. So that is nice because the pawls are actually tall as well. So you do have a good amount of tooth engagement, even though there's only a few on each pawl. You do have a lot of engagement because of the height of the main gear. Whereas the Gearwrench, you can see here, the main pawl, multiple teeth, spring loaded into the reverse lever, and the height of that is quite different. Then once we get the Tekton out, it is very similar. Down on that, pull this, and this is the quick release ratchet as well, so you are going to have that hole there, so don't drop it. It is quite a bit different. Gearwrench and Tekton compared to the Kobalt, they are much slimmer, but you have a lot more teeth all on one pawl engaging, creating a strong bite, whereas this has 2 smaller pawls, but they are taller to allow more engagement or a stronger grab on that main gear. So it's quite a bit different. Obviously that is the reason why the ratchet is so thick and bulky, because of the gear design that they have in this. But besides that, I think that works just fine. There are other ratchets like this style. I just really do not like the fact that these springs are just floating in there. Taking this apart, you had to be very, very careful, but that is what is causing that tin can noise when ratcheting it compared to what the Gearwrench and Tekton sound like. And then here you can see the difference in backing plates. Fairly thick, fairly thin, and then you do have that rubber O-ring on there as well. That helps keep everything sealed. I'll go ahead and put that back on the head. There is a ring in here in the head that O-ring sits in to keep it sealed, and then you got the snap ring that keeps it all together. Whereas the Kobalt one is also quite thick. You have the 3 set screws, except coming from the other side, and then multiple pieces where you can't keep this together if you disassemble it, where you can keep this together if you do disassemble it. Not that that's a big deal, I just wanted to show the differences in the design, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get them put back together before I lose the pieces again and can't use the ratchet. So I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys found this video enjoyable, please make sure to hit that thumbs up. If you guys have any questions on any of these, or thoughts on any of the use that maybe you've used any of these ratchets, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, subscribe if you're not a subscriber. See you guys next time.